You know, this story is more than just what would have happened if Naruto were running his own village, but also includes what could and would have happened if Naruto left Team 7. What would have happened to the Leaf without Naruto? Like, if Naruto were somewhere else, what would have happened? I can think of quite a few things, but instead of just telling you about them now, why don't we wait until the actual story begins? Not right now though, we gotta do the opening spiel first. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Okay, now we can begin. Naruto sat in the finished village. The village had been completed. It was in the form of the old village it once had been, but this time with some more Konoha-style inspiration. But that couldn't be helped. Most people who came here were from Konoha, so this was only natural. Naruto sat in the head office. He was the self-proclaimed Kachukage, and though officially no true position for this would exist, it made Naruto feel good. He was 16 at this time, and serving beside him was Karin Uzumaki, the only Uzumaki clan member to return to the village. For a long time, Naruto began to wonder if the other members would simply take their time returning, but now he was beginning to wonder if it were possible that Karin and himself were the only ones left. This was a depressing thought, but now to a degree he seemed to understand how Sasuke felt. "Sasuke," Naruto said as he looked back on everything that had transpired. Back in the early days of the village's reconstruction, they would visit Konoha often to secure more funds. This occurred as Konoha was about to host the Chunin exams. Naruto had been happy to hear that Sasuke and Sakura would be able to join, despite being a man down on their team. It seemed that one other genin was worthy of becoming a Chunin, despite being alone after an incident on a mission took out the rest of his team. It seemed to be that boy's luck. That was until the exams started to take place. During the second part of the exams, Sasuke was attacked by the villain later known as Orochimaru. Then, in the third part of the exams, it was all brought to a screeching halt when the entire village was attacked by Orochimaru. The Hokage was killed, the village devastated. Gaara, having been the one to help Orochimaru, was chased and confronted by Team 7. The only real jutsu that seemed to be able to work against Gaara was the Chidori, but given how many times Sasuke had missed, he had to tap into usage of his curse mark, and even that failed. It was there that their new teammate was killed. Naruto had heard that the boy's name had been included on the Monument of Heroes, but Naruto sadly never learned his name. Sakura would have been unable to do anything and would eventually be crushed to death by Gaara. Sasuke's sorrow and guilt would have pushed him enough to awaken his Mangekyo Sharingan, but even with that newfound power, he was unable to fight off Gaara and Orochimaru's influence at the same time, so he had to choose. Submit to Orochimaru and kill Gaara, or die? Believe it or not, it wasn't so much of a straightforward question for Sasuke, but considering that Sakura was dead and his chance for revenge against his brother was long past, he had nothing else to hold on to anymore. So in exchange for letting Orochimaru take his body, Orochimaru had to kill Gaara. This was something Orochimaru did with ease. Orochimaru would leave Konoha with everything he had hoped for: the death of Hiruzen, the humiliation of Konoha and Suna, and the body of the last Uchiha. All the secrets of the Sharingan were his to learn, to replicate. Orochimaru had everything he wanted, and now everything was gone. Everything that Naruto once cherished had been taken from him. That being said, there wasn't much that he did cherish. Without Team 7 and Hiruzen, all he had left was Ichiraku Ramen and Kakashi-sensei. It was actually specifically by Kakashi's request to them that Jiraiya seek out Tsunade, and Naruto went along with him to get her. Getting her to return was hard. She seemed uninterested in the position. It wasn't until Naruto told her that he was in the same position as she, and that he knew what it meant. He told her that he was in pain from losing his friends, losing everything he loved, but he was still the Kachukage. In a way, maybe he inspired her. Perhaps what he did was a spit in the face of her honor, a statement that even a child could be greater than her. She had met the first Hokage, served under the second, trained under the third. Her entire life was spent honing her skills, and now, of all people, a 12-year-old had declared himself to be worthy of leading a village when she herself refused to do so. I think it was that. It wasn't inspiration, but spite. Whatever it was, Tsunade returned to the village to be the Hokage. Despite what had happened, Tsunade vowed to find Orochimaru and make him pay for taking Sasuke's body. Despite the fact that Orochimaru had once been Tsunade and Jiraiya's friend, they had long since reached the conclusion that he couldn't be brought back into the fold. He had drifted too far, and now all that was left for him was death. A part of Naruto had hoped that perhaps Sasuke could be rescued, but Jiraiya said it wasn't possible, especially considering Orochimaru's technique. Living corpse reincarnation would have suppressed Sasuke's ego, keeping him under Orochimaru's thumb. Whether he was actually still alive or not was up for question, but even if he was, Jiraiya said that an eternity living as a facet of Orochimaru was no life at all, and it would be better that his soul were freed from the body rather than imprisoned by Orochimaru's own ego. Naruto understood that, but a part of him deep down held out hope that Sasuke could be rescued, and that hope continued on for the coming years until this very moment. And what was it that had brought up these feelings and this look into the past? It was none other than a letter from the Hokage directed to the Kachukage. The letter stated that after some searching, they believed that they had found Orochimaru's base hidden somewhere in the Land of Grass. Naruto, getting up from his seat, grabbed his headband, along with a haori that read the words Kachukage on the back, all situated below the Uzumaki clan's symbol. He looked to Karin. "Will you be coming with me?" he asked. She seemed a bit nervous. "I don't know if I want to return to Kusa. I deserted them. If they find me, I fear what they'll do." Naruto nodded. "If you're sure, I won't force you." Karin followed Naruto to the door. "Who is this Sasuke person to you? And why are you so dead set on avenging or rescuing him or whatever?" Naruto, putting on his kunai pouch and loading scrolls into his flak jacket, spoke. "He's like a brother to me. He understood me, and I felt like we were getting close. I don't like that he's under Orochimaru's thumb. I'll rescue him if I can, and if I can't, I'll end his suffering." Karin understood and wished Naruto luck. Naruto smiled and thanked her, telling her that if he didn't come back, then she was in charge of the village and the new matriarch of their clan. Naruto would leave with Jiraiya and would eventually meet up in Konoha with Tsunade, who decided that it was up to her to help bring Orochimaru down. She said that she had to help or she wouldn't feel right about it. Orochimaru was her personal responsibility, and so she joined Naruto and Jiraiya's team, bringing with her a squad of Anbu agents. Together they made their way to Kusagakure, where they knew Orochimaru's lab was. They approached under cover of night. They began to sneak in, careful not to activate any traps. They went deeper into the heart of the laboratory. They knew that most of the inhabitants would likely be asleep or resting, and that only the guards would be awake. That meant that they needed to take out the guards silently. And so they did. They began to move in. The deeper they went, the more they sent out the Anbu to take out Orochimaru's heaviest hitters. That would be the Sound 4. All the while, Naruto, Jiraiya, and Tsunade sought out Orochimaru. All things considered, Orochimaru was waiting for them when they found him. Despite their proficiency in stealth and espionage, Orochimaru was himself a shinobi and had tested his own facility multiple times. His mind was beyond even theirs, so he knew when they were coming. They opened the door to see him sitting there, reading a book. "I wondered when you might show up. Took you a while to find me." "Orochimaru, it's time for you to come to justice for what you've done," Tsunade said. "Treason, murder, human experimentation, terrorism, assassination, the list goes on." Orochimaru put his book down to show the face of Sasuke, done up in what looked like white makeup with purple eyeliner. Of course, this could have simply been Orochimaru's natural complexion, but to Naruto, it looked like makeup had been put on Sasuke's face. His fists clenched. "Give my friend back his body." Orochimaru let out a chuckle. "Your friend's body is mine now, fair and square. He gave it to me in exchange for avenging Sakura." Naruto's teeth were gritting to the point he feared he might break them. "You stole it from him. I'm gonna take it back." Orochimaru sighed. "He's gone, kid. Make your peace with that." Naruto grew darker, the air around him shifting. "If that's so, then I'll kill you too and avenge him." A red aura began to swirl about Naruto. Orochimaru stood up. Jiraiya looked at Naruto. "Now remember, don't let him get under your..." Naruto dashed forward toward Orochimaru, kunai in hand, slashing. Orochimaru pulled a kunai of his own. Tsunade and Jiraiya looked at each other with disappointment, shaking their heads. They too joined in on the fight. Tsunade jumped into the air, attempting to slam down on Orochimaru, but Orochimaru dodged out of the way. As he did, Jiraiya attempted to fire a fireball jutsu. Orochimaru countered with fire style of his own, enough to push Jiraiya back. Orochimaru laughed. "I've long since surpassed anything you could have ever hoped to be. With the power of this body, I am unstoppable." "A stolen body never functions the same for its thief as it did for the original host," Tsunade said as she rushed at him again. It was then that Orochimaru displayed his Mangekyo Sharingan for the first time. Sensing the chakra flowing to it, Tsunade immediately went into a defensive position. Orochimaru cast a Matarasu on her, engulfing her left arm in black flame. Tsunade let out a cry of pain. Knowing what this was, she had no choice but to chop her own arm off, which startled Naruto. "Lady Tsunade!" She looked back. It's fine, I'll regenerate it. Utilizing her creation rebirth in an attempt to divide the cells required to regrow her arm, Naruto jumped through. Orochimaru attempted to cast Amaterasu on Naruto, but he had his version 1 cloak protecting him currently, which allowed him not to be burned by the flames. If anything, the flames suddenly made him more dangerous, as the swinging of his fists and his kunai were now spreading flames everywhere. As he connected with Orochimaru, Orochimaru had to utilize Kagutsuchi to nullify the flames. Naruto began to push Orochimaru back. As Orochimaru was on the defensive, Jiraiya attempted to come in and help, going so far as to activate Sage Mode just to increase his power and energy reserves. Orochimaru, seeing this coming, utilized his Susanoo in order to make room between himself and the others. The area was too cramped. Even if he was stronger than them, the lack of space around him had him splitting his capabilities between the three of them while leaving himself vulnerable. He needed to do something fast. Orochimaru would then summon Manda and have it break out of the facility into the open. By this time, Tsunade had regenerated her arm. She was in a weakened state, but still had the strength to continue. She summoned Katsuyu to her side to carry out herself, Naruto, and Jiraiya. It was then that Jiraiya would summon Gamabunta. They were still outnumbering Orochimaru, but that didn't give them the advantage. Utilizing his Mangekyo Sharingan, Orochimaru began to laugh. Jiraiya was confused as to how Orochimaru could have utilized that technique at all, considering that it would take more practice than a Mangekyo Sharingan would allow. Orochimaru explained that he came into the possession of Itachi's body not long after Naruto and Jiraiya defeated him, and that through the histories he read and the studies he conducted, was able to generate with Itachi's Sharingan a Sharingan that would never go blind from overuse. That had given him plenty of time to practice. Gamabunta attempted to break through the shell, but even with his Shoto, he couldn't separate the armor plates. It seemed like the battle might end in Orochimaru's favor. That's when Naruto displayed his gutsiness. Jumping from Gamabunta's head, he drove straight down Manda's throat, much to Tsunade and Jiraiya's horror. Orochimaru laughed. "Looks like your student gave up, Jiraiya." Manda raced towards them, at least until Naruto's voice let out a muffled shout. "Summoning Jutsu!" Manda's eyes widened. Pop goes the weasel. All that remained was a giant toad complaining about the smell. Jiraiya and Tsunade were shocked. "That was out-of-the-box thinking," Tsunade said. "More like in the snake thinking," Jiraiya retorted. Naruto jumped down to Orochimaru, holding his kunai. Orochimaru rolled over on his back and held out his hand. "Please, Naruto, wait." The voice of Sasuke spoke. Naruto stopped. "Sasuke?" Gripping his head, Sasuke spoke. "Please, Naruto, you have to help me. Orochimaru's in shock, but he's trying to take back over. Get him out, please." Naruto drew closer. "Okay, tell me what to do, Sasuke." Sasuke's face looked up with a smile as the voice of Orochimaru returned. "How about you die?" Orochimaru took the kunai from Naruto's hand and tried to run it through his heart, only for Jiraiya to jump between them. Naruto saw Jiraiya fall back, kunai in his chest. Orochimaru and Naruto sat there silently for a moment. Both of them knew that this would become a quick draw. Orochimaru went to grab another kunai as his eye activated Amaterasu. Naruto quickly pulled a scroll from his flak jacket and opened it, sealing the Amaterasu before throwing the scroll onto Orochimaru's face to obstruct his vision. Orochimaru removed the scroll and threw a kunai. Naruto threw one as well, but the kunai bounced off of each other. Suddenly, a third kunai was thrown, this time by Tsunade, striking Orochimaru in the side of the head. Orochimaru went down, dead before even hitting the ground. Naruto sat there, trying to catch his breath, in shock until he heard Jiraiya moan. Naruto rushed to his mentor's side. "Pervy Sage!" Jiraiya looked down at all the blood and then spoke. "Naruto, I'm here." Jiraiya smiled at Naruto. "You've gotten strong." Naruto shook his head as tears began to roll down his cheeks. I did this to you. I should have finished Orochimaru when I had the chance." Jiraiya shook his head. "No, Naruto. It's not your fault. I would have done the same at your age." Jiraiya sat there as he felt his eyes dimming. "I don't have much time, Naruto. In my quarters, I left a letter to the great Toad Sage Gamamaru. Please deliver it to him. Promise me." Naruto nodded. "I promise." Jiraiya smiled. "I know you'll make a great shinobi one day. I just know it." Jiraiya then passed away. Naruto cried as he stayed by his side. With this over and done with, they'd returned to their respective villages. Naruto was inconsolable for quite some time. He would be going through Jiraiya's things when he found the letter and remembered what Jiraiya had asked him to do. Naruto would use reverse summoning to go to Mount Myoboku. There, he delivered it and discovered that Jiraiya had asked for Naruto to be trained in the ways of the sage arts. Gamamaru accepted him as a student on Mount Myoboku. During this time, the Akatsuki were making their bid for the tailed beasts, having gathered almost all of them save the Nine Tails. That's what drew Pain to Uzushiogakure. By the time Naruto returned, it was already under attack. Karine had been attempting to defend the village, and during the course of this, she had been taken hostage to be interrogated. Naruto would appear at about that time and attempt to stop Pain. "I'm here now, so let her go," he shouted. But Pain was not so lenient. He was already planning to teach Naruto the same lesson he learned so long ago. The human path would remove the soul from Karine's body. Naruto, in anger, would feel his chakra burning within him. He'd surpass his version 1 cloak to enter version 2. Rushing at the 6 paths, he attacked them with incredible power, shredding through the summons of the animal path as if they were nothing. He then began to dismantle them one by one, starting with the animal path before targeting the human path. The Ashura path attempted to bind Naruto with electrified chains, but Naruto shatters the chains in anger before turning his wrath on the Ashura path. With its many arms and insane strength, it manages to go toe-to-toe with Naruto for some time before eventually meeting its end. As Naruto turns around, the remaining paths attempt to revive the fallen ones via the Naraka path, so Naruto eviscerates the Naraka path to stop it from resurrecting its allies. At this point, the only ones remaining are the Preta path and the Diva path. Diva uses Almighty Push to force Naruto back. Preta path comes in and manages to get a hold of Naruto, putting him in a headlock. It begins to pull the chakra from his body. Naruto, or should I say Kurama at this point, begins to howl as more tails form. Bone armor begins to appear over his back in an attempt to impale the user. Eventually, Naruto gets all the way up to 7 tails, which increases his size by quite a bit. The bones that had been on the outside are now inside, but they're glowing with power as the body's translucent chakra begins to thicken like flesh. Slowly, muscle and sinew begin to form as steam and smoke pour from its body, causing the appearance of the beast to be a disturbing mix between a zombie and a burn victim. In this massive form, the beast is mere moments away from entirely breaking the seal. It's not like Pain hadn't known that Kurama would be the strongest of them all, but he hadn't expected the Nine Tails' power to completely cliff the rest of the beasts. The power of this monster was enough that it would take the power of all other beasts just to match it. Pain knew that the only way to defeat it was to seal it again, back into Naruto, and to do that he needed to get closer to his body. So Diva and Preta began to retreat. The enraged Naruto would follow after, and during this chase, even the Preta path could not escape his grasp. Naruto severed the Preta path in 2. Diva, however, made it into the forest, which he hoped would further limit the beast's accuracy. And that was true. It did. But because of that, Kurama turned his wrath to a wider range of attack. He formed tailed beast balls to completely eradicate entire portions of the forest. As Diva continued to run, he barely dodged these attacks. He was blown back by the force of most of them, but he got back on his feet and kept running. Eventually, when he was sure he was close enough, he utilized his greatest technique, Chibaku Tensei. Pain pushed himself to make the Chibaku Tensei large enough. He managed to encase the entirety of Naruto's 8-tailed Kurama version, but that didn't give him much time to think as Kurama eventually broke out. But just as Naruto was about to free the 9 tails, he'd be stopped by the specter of his father, who would tell Naruto exactly who he was, why his life was so hard, and how important he was to the world. With the help of Minato, Naruto brought himself back under control and opted to continue the fight in Sage Mode. After a bit more fighting, Naruto managed to plant a Rasengan into Pain's chest, putting him down. But now he had someone else to find, the real Pain. Naruto would search Pain out and confront him. After a long talk, Naruto not only learned that Pain was a former student of Jiraiya, but learned how he got set on this path. Naruto would tell Pain about his own past and his own experience with Pain. He told him about losing Sasuke, about losing Sakura, about being exiled from his village, about losing Jiraiya. It all hurt, but that wasn't enough to stop Naruto from seeking peace through love. He told Pain that peace through fear would indeed unite people, but that it would only unite them against Pain, and that such a peace could never last. If a vacuum was created after Pain's defeat, it would become a breeding ground for war. In the end, the only thing Pain would be able to do in that position would be either surrender his will and allow wars to destroy the peace he hoped to build, or then to kill all those who stood against him, ending humanity as a whole. Nagato's face showed that he was mulling it over. But what could he do then? How could they bring peace? Naruto explained that peace should come through love and brotherhood, not through the threat of war. Pain seemed to understand. It was from here that Pain repented for his attempts to bring peace through war. He would use his outer path to bring back those he had killed, sacrificing himself. Everyone would be revived, including Karine. This attack would reach Konoha, and Tsunade would call a summit. She would invite Naruto to come along and represent his village through Konoha, which Naruto would do. There, he would tell the story of what had happened to his village, how it was attacked by the Akatsuki, noting that the Akatsuki were a legitimate threat, and that if nothing were done, it would eventually lead to the fall of the world order as they knew it. The 5 village leaders seemed to squabble about themselves on what they should do. That was until Obito Uchiha came and declared war, leaving them no choice but to work together. Tsunade would be named Supreme Commander of the Allied Shinobi Forces. She would tell Naruto to remain out of the war and to go into hiding, but Naruto refused, stating that he needed to help out and that he wouldn't let others fight a war to protect him. He would fight as well. Knowing that he wouldn't let his mind be changed, Tsunade agreed to let him follow. Together, they'd push back the forces of the Akatsuki and the Zetsu. Naruto's strength was a great boon when facing off against the other members of the Akatsuki. But eventually, they found their way to the final battle, and Naruto, along with Kakashi's team, they were enough to break through Obito's intangibility. But before they could defeat him, Obito absorbed the Ten Tails into himself. He would be out of control for a time, but eventually, after regaining control, Obito found himself capable of practically soloing the entire Allied Shinobi forces alone. That's when Naruto confronted him. "The peace you seek is a lie," Naruto said. Obito looked at Naruto with a mixture of pity and sorrow. "Living a peaceful lie is better than the reality we exist in. With the power of the Ten Tails, I will cast the infinite Tsukiyomi over the world and free them from their troubles. The world will know peace, with each dreamer having a world tailored to their very own desires and needs." Naruto shook his head. "Even if peace is impossible in this reality, I'd rather spend the rest of my life fighting for it than consigning myself to a world that isn't real." "Then you're a fool," Obito said. Naruto activated Sage Mode. "If I'm a fool, then I'm a fool, but I won't allow you to force your will onto others." Naruto would rush at Obito, attacking him. The first thing he tried to do was utilize Rasengan, which Obito tried to block with his truth-seeking orbs. To his surprise, they couldn't absorb Naruto's technique, and instead he struck through and hit Obito. Both of them learned from that experience. Obito knew that he could not rely on his orbs against Naruto, and Naruto knew that only in Sage Mode could he ever stand a chance. Naruto would continue to attack, pushing Obito back for a time, but Obito had yet to actually try. Obito would begin to overpower Naruto quite easily. As Naruto was knocked back, he stumbled into a slight retreat in an attempt to get a moment to breathe. Kakashi, knowing that Naruto couldn't do it alone, rushed in to help Naruto with a lightning cutter. Obito would grab Kakashi's wrist and stop him from hurting him. Holding Kakashi up off the ground, Obito would look deeply into his eyes. "I regret giving you that eye. I regret saving you that day in the cave. If I hadn't, Rin wouldn't have died." Kakashi then spoke. "Maybe not. Perhaps if you had been there, things could have gone differently. But it's too late, Obito. Rin's gone. You have to let go." Obito shook his head. "I'll never let go. You failed me. You swore on your life to protect Rin, and you lied. Now it's time to pay." He would replicate Kakashi's lightning cutter and put his hand through Kakashi's chest, just like Rin all those years ago. "She died and it's your fault. You should have been the one on the end of a blade, not her." Obito pulled his hand from Kakashi's chest, letting him fall. "No!" Guy shouted in anger. He began to utilize the gates all the way up through the 7th gate of life. Guy began to attack Obito with everything he had, but Obito, pushing the attacks to the side, managed to keep standing. Seeing he was going nowhere, Guy knew that he had to give his all to even get close to Obito's level, and he would utilize the 8th gate of death. Obito would sense the chakra increase and was astounded at the true potential that lay beyond human limits. Guy's brutal assault on Obito left Obito weakened. Knowing that this was his chance to finish everything, Guy would prepare his final attack, Night Guy. Launching forward, Obito began to worry that even with his power he might be killed. Right at the last moment, Obito took all of his truth-seeking orbs and formed a protective barrier between himself and Guy. Guy collided with these and broke through, striking Obito, sending him flying back. As Obito laid there, he knew if he hadn't put up that barrier, he would be dead. Looking down, the entire left side of his body had been obliterated. Obito mused on this, that not a single shred of who he used to be remained. As he regenerated, he stood. Guy, no longer able to fight, lay there on the ground. Obito approached him, and with a wave of his hand, a fierce wind blew, carrying Guy's ashes away. Naruto stood there in awe of the power, tears rolling down his cheeks at how he'd been unable to save his friends. Within himself, he approached the Nine Tails. Kurama could sense the darkness inside him. "What brings you before me?" Kurama asked. Naruto, unable to look up, asked a rather simple question. "Can we make a deal?" Kurama began to smile as he raised a brow. "What kind of deal is it?" Naruto looked up, his eyes overflowing with tears. "If you promise to defeat that guy and not seek retribution against the world for what happened, I'll let you go." Kurama sat up.
I like where this is going. So let me get this straight. You wish for me to completely take you over. Am I getting that right?
Naruto nodded. I'll undo the seal. All I ask is that you merge our two powers together. It's the only chance we have. If you do this and kill this guy, I'll let you go.
Kurama laughed. And how do you know I'll keep my end of the bargain?
Naruto shook his head. I don't. I'm completely at your mercy, but I beg you, if there's anything within you that's honorable, any part of you that once believed in doing the right thing, please honor this agreement. Kurama took a deep breath and let it out, thinking.
Fine, I'll honor my end of the bargain, but only if you honor yours. Rip off the seal.
Obito drew closer. I don't understand you, Naruto, he said. After everything you've been through, the hatred of the village, the loss of your friends, being orphaned and alone, why would you still choose this reality over the one I offer you? Is it not the same? What is reality anyway but the simulation of what your brain tells you is around you? Anything can be real so long as you make it so. Obito knelt down and offered him a hand. Perhaps a spark of the man who once served under Naruto's father remained. Perhaps it was that Obito felt bad that he had put Naruto into that position. Regardless, his hand stayed. Take my hand, Naruto. Let's remake the world to be what we want it to be. A world without pain or suffering. A better world. A new reality. Suddenly, Naruto looked up, his face twisted and contorted by the Nine Tails. With a breathy voice, the voice of Kurama exited Naruto's lips with a chuckle.
I'll show you reality.
Suddenly, Naruto's entire body began to shift. He transformed into the Nine Tails. The beast took its true form and coated itself with chakra. Beyond that, it merged Naruto's abilities on top, giving Kurama the power of Sage Mode. Kurama began to hammer on Obito. Obito attempted to block the attacks, but the strength of the Sage Mode empowered Kurama was enough to break through. Obito began to dart around, making distance.
Oh, so now you're the one running. What's the matter? I thought you were the Ten-Tails Jinchuriki. I thought you should be stronger than me,
Kurama shouted. Kurama chased after him. Obito landed on one of the roots of the divine tree and smiled. I am stronger than you. Suddenly, a set of black hands shot up into the sky and grabbed Kurama. It dragged him down to the ground and spiked him. The hands gripped him again and began to squeeze. Kurama clawed at Obito. Obito smiled as he looked at the beast. For such a long time you eluded me, but no more. I will take back what's mine. A chakra chain shot from Obito's Rinnegan, grabbing Kurama. It began to pull. Kurama resisted.
No, I won't be sealed again.
Despite Kurama's fantastic strength though, he was unable to stop Obito. Pulled free from Naruto, Kurama was dragged into Obito, further strengthening him. As Naruto lay there, he felt his life slipping. He had failed. Looking up into the sky, he reflected upon it all. He was so sad that he was unable to stop Obito, but Jiraiya's spirit would fly to Naruto to comfort him and bring him into the next world. As Obito stood there below the full moon, he cast the infinite Tsukiyomi, putting the world into the dreams he had planned. But as he did so, he was deceived and caught off guard by Zetsu, and through Zetsu's trickery, he transformed Obito into Kaguya. With no one left to fight, Kaguya would reclaim all of the chakra that had once been hers and would leave this world barren. She fled to her dimension, where she would prepare to find the next world. She feared what the Otsutsuki would do should they find her. Her only recourse was to follow in the footsteps of Shibai and attain what she saw as godhood. And with her departure, the world came to an end. Kind of a downer ending, eh? But the sad thing about it is that if Naruto is removed from the village, the chances are that Sakura and Sasuke would die before their time. And without them, Naruto would be unable to defeat Obito, let alone Madara and Kaguya. I know it's probably not what you expected, but I feel like sometimes I tell too many happy endings. Sometimes I gotta remind you that anything can happen, even the bad guys winning. Hope it wasn't too depressing though. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comments. Let us know what your favorite parts were or what you would have done differently if it were up to you. I'm eager to know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified when more videos like this drop, and while you wait, try out these videos here on the screen. I bet you'll enjoy them. Anyway, until next time, peace out.